want to recognize cabinet colleagues at the head table, in particular our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Sean Richards, our Attorney General, the Honourable Vincent Byron, our Senator in the Ministry of Health, the Honourable Wendy Phipps, and the Honourable Ian Patches Libed, our Minister of Public Infrastructure. Apologies for Minister Grant, who is abroad, and Minister Emery is also abroad at this moment in time. Representatives of the media and the Honourable Mark Brantley would be at the budget session at this time taking place with respect to the NIA. My fellow citizens and residents, it is a pleasure to account to you again on the many things we are doing to move St. Kitts and Nevis further in the right direction. Before I get in the thrust of my presentation, I want to reflect a little bit on the 2019 hurricane season, which started on the 1st June of 2019 and ended officially last Saturday, the 30th of November 2019. We should give thanks to God for sparing us from the ravages of the 2019 hurricane season. Many storms made their appearance. We experienced troughs, tropical waves, cyclones, which caused coastal erosion and mudslides, as well as damage to a few private properties. Our road resurfacing was interrupted, but we give thanks. We fared relatively well compared to other countries, such as the Bahamas. I thank the Co-Cathedral of Immaculate Conception for hosting our grateful nation in worship last Sunday, as we thank God for His grace and mercies during the 2019 hurricane seasons. Commendations are in order for the Honourable Attorney General, Mr. Vincent Byron, to whom I delegated responsibilities as the Chairman of the Interministerial National Emergency Operations Committee. I want also to commend Abdia Samuel, the coordinator at NEMA, for an excellent job that he has been doing so far. We experienced better levels of preparedness in 2019. The committees responded well to adverse weather developments and quickly mobilized to deal with issues arising from the storms. Within 24 hours, for example, Joseph Riley of Stonehaven Molyneux, whose house was rendered uninhabitable, was relocated with his family in Basseterre, and I gather the public works provided the service in the transportation of the gentleman and his furniture. Roads rendered impassable by mudslides at Lodge were cleared quickly, and Skelec and Public Works were efficient in dealing with falling electrical poles, overhanging trees, and other encumbrances. We are working to ensure our resilience to hurricanes and climate change generally. In this regard, NEMA has advised that a committee of experts should be established to conduct vulnerability assessments and provide long-term recommendations to address a number of vulnerable areas in the Federation. This committee will be led by the National Disaster Coordinator and will be comprised of representatives from both public and private sectors. One of the goals of the committee will be to strengthen the infrastructure in the interest of public safety and security. Turning now to the economy, I am pleased to report that the country continues to move in the right direction. In this regard, the reports from Social Security indicate that for the period January to August 2019, there was an average of 25,877 jobs per month, which was higher than the comparative period last year. The top 5 economic sectors, according to the Social Security classifications, creating work for our people were as follows. The public sector provided jobs for 10,061 persons. Hotel and restaurant contributed 3,140 jobs. Wholesale and retail, 1,547 jobs. Transport, storage, and communication contributed 15, I'll repeat this. We had 10,061 jobs in the public sector, 3,140 in the hotel and restaurant. Wholesale and retail contributed 2,884 jobs. In transport, storage, and communication, we had 1,547 jobs, and manufacturing contributed 1,481 jobs. Of the average 25,877 jobs over the period January to August 2019, 13,955 or 54% of the jobs were held by females, and 11,922 or 46% of the jobs were held by males. More women then are in the workplace than men. On average, the gross monthly wages paid in St. Kitts and Nevis total $82 million each month, up slightly from the $81 million paid on average in 2018. And the Social Security records reflect just under 1,500 active employers in the country. More people are working, more opportunities for our young people. This is the goal of the Team Unity government. And our competent and capable leadership has resulted in more business investment, more tourists, safer streets and communities. The data available from the Ministry of Finance indicate that as at the end of October 2019, 601 approvals were granted for business licenses in the country. This is the largest approval ever in the history. 601 business applications in St. Kitts alone up to October 2019. Approvals covered the following areas: real estate, carpentry, farming, landscaping, restaurants, car rentals, and trucking, among several others. We applaud the new entrants in the world of industry, business, and commerce, and we wish them all well. We can look forward to a stronger and safer future with Team Unity. Our Fresh Start loan financing gave a head start and a fresh start to many small businesses. Some continue to do well and provide good examples of success by local entrepreneurs. As we prepare for the budget next week, it is worth recalling where we were just 4.5 years ago. Labour's legacy to our great country was an economy with one of the highest debt ratios in the world. The former Minister of Finance, Denzil Douglas, admitted that our debt levels had risen beyond our capacity to pay. Truth be told, we could not pay our civil servants without the IMF support. As a result of that, the former finance minister imposed a freeze on increments 3 years in a row, 2011, 2012, and 2013. He increased the electricity charges by 85%, and our water bills increased by a whopping 600%. Because the former administration could not manage the country's money well, in 2015, St. Kitts and Nevis owed the IMF $117 million from the amount borrowed in 2011 of about $234 million. Instead of our money paying to make our streets safer, building bigger and better homes, and creating more jobs, Labour's debt saw our money going outside the Federation. The people, of course, will never forget that legacy of the past administration. And they will never forget the deficit spending year after year noted in the Director of Audit's report. That deficit spending brought us to the point where the IMF had to come in on a rescue mission. That deficit spending year after year brought us in the long run too much pain and international shame later on. The past administration put our economy in debt. They allowed the tourist numbers to stagnate. They sold off our lands instead of using it for housing for our own nationals. And they let our streets and community stay tense and unsafe for far too long. Certainly when we inherited the government just over 4 years ago, there was little hope, no real opportunities for the vast majority of our young people. Thankfully, the scar of the IMF debt is now put behind us, and those dark, stormy days of no increments, of high taxes, such as the punitive VAT tax at 17% on our food, our medicine, and educational supplies, are now long past. Today we have a strong, a safe, and better future to look forward to, driven in part by the increases in the tourism traffic. For the period January to November 2019, I'm advised by SCASPA that we welcome around 959 cruise passengers, and we recorded 139,550 air passenger arrivals. To date then, over 1 million persons have visited St. Kitts and Nevis, the smallest and the most scenic country in the Caribbean region. CASPER reports that 7,249 flights have come to the country as at the end of September 2019, and this compares well to the 7,118 over the same period in 2018. Incoming flights into our country have increased for this year so far. Our appealing and attractive tourist destination is headed in the right direction. We recently welcomed the luxury cruise ship L'Eau du Monde Deauville on her inaugural visit, and I want to draw your attention to the public comments by Florian Richard, the captain of L'Eau du Monde Deauville, when he said, and I quote, "St. Kitts and Nevis is recommendable. The island is absolutely beautiful and safe," but we all knew that. He went on to say that we will see an increase in the number of cruise ships for St. Kitts in the next few years. It is exciting that we will be welcoming more tourists from the seas and from the air as well. In November, American and Delta Airlines announced that they will be extending their existing non-stop Saturday flights to St. Kitts from JFK to include the month of May 2020. And officials are here from the Ministry of Tourism. If I've left out anything major, please at the appropriate time update the records with respect to tourism. This will provide continuous service now from the peak period all through to summer. Very welcome news indeed. More tourists to our country mean more jobs and more opportunities for all of us, but in particular for our young people. A safer St. Kitts and Nevis is a prosperous St. Kitts and Nevis, and we look forward to welcoming more and more cruise ships and visitors to our shores. To enhance tourist safety, we introduce what has been described as tourism island constables. We train them and we strategically place them at most tourist attractions, Port Zante, St. George's Anglican Church, and at Independence Square. The report so far is that they have been doing quite a good job, and I hope that continues to be so. New jobs and new opportunities are also coming from other sectors of our economy. Our merchandise export by sea increased by 179% from 23,883 tons for the period January to November 2018 to a whopping 66,628 tons for the period January to November 2019. Our outbound cargo by year increased from 260 tons January to November in 2018 to 267 tons for the comparative period in 2019. This speaks to a recovery in manufacturing volume, notwithstanding the competitive challenges which the plants here face from China and elsewhere. Indeed, we have to compete globally, and the increased production is reflected in more jobs being available right here in St. Kitts. Cajola Cristada boasts 222 jobs in 2019, almost doubling its employment base at 117 in 2018. From 117 in 2018, Cajola Cristada now has in its employ 222 persons. Cajola started a second shift this year and added 2 new production lines. Jaro Electronics provides 319 jobs in 2019 against 270 in 2018. Importantly, the majority of the workers made redundant by Lucha and Liamiga were absorbed at Jaro. To date, Jaro has provided jobs to such 40 of the displaced workers from Luchan. I am told that Jaro has paid this year a 10% merit increase, and Jaro anticipates that by next year it will need another 50 employees. API Harrisat in Sandy Point provided 225 jobs in 2019, according to Carol Evelyn, which is at about the same level as that in 2018. Harrow has paid out $6.2 million in wages and salaries up to October 2019. Our brewery provides jobs for 140 persons up to November 2019. For the same period last year, it provided for 130 persons. So it's up. Last year, for the period January to November, the brewery produced 944,342 cases of beverages. This year to date, it has already exceeded 1 million cases. Last year, it achieved that feat later in December. So it's moving ahead. In fact, to date, according to Mark Wilkin, 1,039,286 cases have already been produced. For the second time in a row, in its 59th year of operation in St. Kitts and Nevis, and only under Team Unity, the Carib Brewery St. Kitts Limited has surpassed 1 million cases of drinks produced in a single year. Jobs then are assured. Wages are assured, as well as hopefully bonuses. Sun Island Clothing provided 78 jobs, or has been providing 78 jobs in 2019, up from the 58 it provided in 2018. So we have given you a good snapshot of manufacturing and tourism, and most importantly, how the job situation is being impacted by these development and progress in these particular areas. As a further stimulus, though, for December 2019, my government has already announced a number of concessions and early payouts. Additionally, you are aware that our national bank is set to pay out a record 15% dividend, or $20.3 million, once the proposal is approved at its AGM intended for 9 December 2019. This proposed payout of $20.3 million will be a 50% increase over the $13.5 million which National paid out in 2018. You will record that National over the last 2 years has been experiencing the largest net profit in its history from normal operations. By way of reminder, the government's monthly workers will be paid their double salary on December 13, 2019. The beneficiaries of the hugely successful and popular Poverty Alleviation Program will also be paid on December 13, 2019. Our government auxiliary workers at the Water Department, Public Works Department, and other areas of the government will receive their honorarium on December 13, 2019. For them, this is particularly special because I'm advised by Torfrida Rochester the last time this was paid was in about November of 2007. After that, the former government stopped paying the honorarium to the non-establishment workers, so-called, for this very long period. My government has restored it because we believe we must be fair to our workers, and they need every single dollar due to them. An additional $45 million will be pumped into the economy by the government payouts to a broad cross-section of employees of the Nevis Island Administration and the federal government, who would be enjoying their double salaries. Only in St. Kitts and Nevis, for the record, do we hear about double salaries being paid. And only in St. Kitts and Nevis have we been able to manage it 4 years in a row. Count our blessings. The investment we are seeing in our federation reflects the strength of our economy. Significant construction activity is taking place as we resurface our island main road, establish walkways for our people, build more homes and repair others, reconstruct the Old Road Fisheries Project, and make Old Road Bay Main Road safer, better, and bigger. New projects like the community center that has just started at Lodge Utledge will bring more jobs to people in that area. Several of the construction projects which have started will continue into 2020. Our economy is strong in part because of the good things which the administration has done, including paying off the IMF debt. Because of this, we can now focus on building better and stronger communities. Our upgrade of sporting grounds around the island continues as we provide more opportunities for our young people to reach their full potential. The Ministry of Sport has done a very good work at sports facilities at St. Mary's, Keon, at Connery, at Mansion, at Sandy Point, at the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium, at Bird Rock, at Trinity and Boyd's, at Challengers, and Tabernacle, to name but a few. November also saw scientific opportunities opened up for our young people. Minister Hamilton announced the construction of a national vet diagnostic lab, which will advance our fight against antimicrobial resistance. The National Vet Diagnostic Lab will test sick animals where possible to determine the most effective and prudent antibiotics to treat their specific infection. And we are aware that the livestock sector has been challenged for quite a bit, and the government is responding appropriately to the tick problem and other issues related to livestock. This facility is expected to position St. Kitts and Nevis as a leader in the region. Indeed, several facilities offering work in health and science will open up in the new year. It is pleasing to report that yet again, we are seeing more opportunities in more sectors for our young people. A strong economy comes in part from a safe society, and our Team Unity government will never shirk our responsibility to keep our streets and communities safe. The past month, our measures to reduce crime have been acknowledged by our regional partners. Members of our Police High Command presented our crime reduction strategy at a meeting organized by the National Crime Agency out of the United Kingdom and shared their experience to counterparts in Barbados. In other words, the world is looking now at St. Kitts and Nevis, at what we have been able to achieve in law and order, and seeing it as a model for other countries troubled by crime to pattern. It is the embassy, the British High Commission, which coordinated this meeting to say to the rest of the region, you can learn a thing or two from the example of St. Kitts and Nevis. Before that, we had other visitors to our Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force from Barbados and elsewhere coming to get a better understanding of our strategy. So we are pleased by that. And we should all be proud that our efforts are being acknowledged and that other nations are looking for us to share what we are learning. Things are changing for the better in St. Kitts and Nevis, and every progressive citizen and resident commends the government on the success of the so-called peace initiative. It is perhaps the most successful intervention in crime fighting over the last 20 years. Those opposed to peace threatened to stop the peace initiative if they were to get back into power. Luckily for all of us, they will not get back there. They want to take money from poor young men who have been given a second chance to find real work, to help their mother and their young children, and are being rewarded for an honest day's labor. These young men are pursuing alternative paths of responsible living while committing to avoiding crime and violence. The young men in McKnight, in Shadwell, in St. Peter's, in the village, Newtown, Sandy Point and Keon, must never let others, now in opposition, get the opportunity to rob them of their second chance. Indeed, all of us deserve a second chance, and many more than a second chance. Our citizens and residents, our businessmen and women, our church leaders know that the peace is worth it. The senseless killing of young black men in St. Kitts and Nevis and in our Caribbean as a whole should never be allowed to continue. Those who held government before us did not care enough to do everything in their power to restore peace and curb homicides in our land. Team Unity cares, and Team Unity has succeeded where the last inept administration failed in keeping our people and our streets safe. Indeed, some said to me that the peace is palpable everywhere. You could almost touch it. The gang warfare has disappeared for the last 9 months. Let's not board. The peace is making life and living better for all of us. So I congratulate all those of our citizens and residents who are doing something to promote law and order. I want to congratulate the young men who have determined in their own mind that it is not worth it to shoot, to kill, to maim, that it is not worth it to restrict themselves into gang, that it is not worth it not to be able to leave West Bastille and McKnight to go to East Bastille or Keon or to go around this very small country. It is not worth it. But it is worth it to lay down their arms, and it is worth it to try again to make an effort at responsible living. I want to thank the High Command, headed by Commissioner Brandy, for their brave effort, courageous effort of reaching out and providing assistance and support. But equally, there were a number of civilians who formed part of what was described as the initial engagement team. There were guidance counselors, persons from the church, businessmen who got involved and came forward to the authorities and say, for the sake of this beloved country, we want to do something, but we are afraid. Would you provide us protection if we were to engage these young people? Mr. Brandy and others, the national security advisors, said, yes, we will provide you support and protection. When those people left their job, left their homes to meet with the vulnerable groups, they were somewhere, the officers of the police and defense force, knowing that these people were risking their life, going to meet people who were vulnerable and whose emotion and actions could at any time redound in a negative way to their safety. So I say thank you to every member, both in St. Kitts and Nevis, of the initial engagement team for putting country above selves. And I thank them again for helping to bring calm and peace, and I should add happiness, to this, our beautiful island. In the heat of the criminal activity and the homicides year after year, we heard from the former administration that they were not bothered. Some of them resorted to calling and stigmatizing the young men, calling them insulting names. We do not agree in team unity, as some in the former administration have posited, that when young men in McKnight and in George Street and Keon and elsewhere are killing each other, it is a good thing, that it represents a purging or cleansing of our society. We do not, for the record, subscribe to that view. It is never a good thing when we are killing our own. All we have is us. The Prime Minister who overstayed his welcome is on record when he said he did not care about the killings. He said telling him about the homicides was like water running down his back. He couldn't stay. He said he didn't care about that because he never sent anybody to shoot anybody. Times have changed. We as a government have accepted responsibility for the safety and the peace of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we have said that law and order must of all times be the highest priority of the nation's state. Because without peace, there is no calm. There is no basis for progress. There is no peace in the church when there is gunfire outside the church. There is no peace for the business community when they have to close up early. All of us suffer when there is no peace in the land. And that is why this government started from the perspective that we will do all that we can. We will go as far as is necessary. We will explore every initiative to ensure the success. And so again, I commend the law enforcement partnership across police, defense force, customs, and so on, who have helped brought our country where we're at this particular time. Our federation at this point in time is truly heading in the right direction because Team Unity's leadership is working in a new way. We are achieving real results and delivering new opportunities for our young people. We need to see these opportunities through to completion. The stride and progress we have made over the last 4+ years did not happen by accident, and they could be lost very quickly if the election losers were to return to power to pursue their agenda of vendetta. These gains then need to be locked in. The peace has to be locked in, and only Team Unity, which conceived it, can lock it in. The gains in tourism have to be locked in, and only Team Unity can lock it in. The improvement in the employment situation in the country has to be locked in. Only Team Unity can. We need new and better designed fresh start programs to drive entrepreneurship in St. Kitts and Nevis, and only Team Unity can. We need to give hope to those who are hopeless, and only Team Unity can. We need to have a new program for the delivery of affordable health care. Only Team Unity can and has. And that is why we announce our National Health Insurance Coverage Program, which is advancing, brought in the experts in healthcare management from the university and elsewhere, and put things in place to ensure that whenever you are sick, every boy, every girl, every woman, every man would have an opportunity for health coverage, and you won't have to hurry. That is a future that we must secure by maintaining our support for the Team Unity. In closing, only Team Unity has the leadership, the people, and the policies to secure a stronger and safer future and provide real opportunities for all our people, and in particular, the young people. So trust us with your future. We will keep St. Kitts and Nevis heading in the right direction. We will keep delivering real opportunities for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Work with Team Unity to make St. Kitts and Nevis better for all our citizens and residents, because our programs are the most inclusive we have seen. We introduce poverty alleviation, and whether you are in a stronghold in St. Paul's or Sadler's or in George Street or you are in Bird Rock, once you meet the criteria established, you became a beneficiary. Only under Team Unity government is that possible. And when we were battered by the hurricanes, only Team Unity had the ingenuity to come up with the idea that we could not let another storm come again and our people go through the same situation in makeshift habitats, as it were. And we responded, pumping millions of dollars, assisting over 2,000 plus persons all over St. Kitts and Nevis to put their homes at a better state, in a better state than it was. Thank God for Team Unity. This is the promise we make. We will continue to be an all-inclusive government working for all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.